Sending our children off to school is a difficult process, even after many years. When we send our toddlers, grade schoolers, and even high schoolers out into the world and put our trust in educators, we're taking a lot of things for granted. We trust that they'll be educated, happy, and most of all, safe. Unfortunately, the modern age has shown us time and again that even something as simple as trust in education system is no longer a foregone conclusion. Educators, like anyone in power, can abuse that power in terrible ways. Most don't have an excuse for it, but one guilty party is doing all she can to justify her reprehensible actions. Hello, wonderful people. I'm Scott Leffler for WonderBot, and here is Teacher Arrested After Her Hands-On Approach with Students Uncovered. Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. It happened, as so many of these stories do, at a high school. In this case, Davis High School in Salt Lake City, Utah. Miss Altus was the subject of much discussion among the students and staff. The topics of these discussions, who's Miss Altus sleeping with now, became something of a running joke throughout the school. This was no joke, however. Altus was indeed sleeping with a number of individuals within the school. The only problem with this was the fact that at least 3 of her alleged partners were high school students. Over the course of several months, Altus had 3 separate sexual relationships with students she befriended as their teacher. Altus met the teens at parks, in cars, and even at her home while her husband was away in order to engage in carnal relations with these 3 impressionable young men. They would go on dates or picnics together. It was almost as if they were dating. Despite the whispers throughout the school and the rumors of her misdeeds, no one actually knew the truth. If you'd asked Altus about it, she would tell you that the relationships all started when one of the boys had come to her for advice. His relationship with his parents had been difficult, and he needed someone to talk to about it. She advised him to communicate with his parents and continue to do his best in school. Surprisingly, that little bit of advice did wonders. The boy's grades began to show improvement while she was his teacher. Now, some cynical people might say that this miraculous improvement in academic prowess is due to the fact that she was his teacher and therefore used her influence to pad his grades. Still, it could be that the attention he was receiving in school simply spurred him towards higher achievement. In time, her guidance became more than just an odd piece of advice. He was smitten with her, and he was ready to show it publicly, if need be. This included striking back at those who spoke ill of her. If he heard someone making fun of her or talking about her supposed promiscuity, he would defend her honor. Eventually, some folks began to take notice. The rumors continued, and people started talking about how she allowed her boys to skip class in order to spend time with her. Altus, of course, tried to quash these rumors, spending time with both male and female students in her classroom before and after school and during their lunch hour. Unfortunately for Altus, the effort was too little, too late. One of the young men whom Altus had become intimate with ended up reporting the incident and pressing charges. His initial report indicated that he was 16 years old when he first engaged in sexual contact with his teacher. He was underage at the time, which meant that the 36-year-old was guilty of statutory rape and much more. Besides, Altus originally faced a range of 14 felony charges, including 5 counts of rape. In the end, she had no choice but to plead guilty. The final charge ended up being forcible sexual abuse and involved 3 young men. 2 of them were 16 and the other was 17 at the time. She was given a lengthy sentence of 2 to 30 years in prison. At her sentencing, Altus stood up before the court and expressed how emotionally damaged she had been at the time of the many liaisons with her students. She admitted that she made mistakes by giving in to her teenage students' advances. In essence, she partially blamed the students for the whole sordid affair. This wasn't exactly wrong, as it takes 2 to tango, but it definitely didn't help her case. Since the verdict, Altus has become divorced from her husband and is currently imprisoned, but the story was far from over. A lawsuit has been brought against both Altus and Davis High School by one of the victims and their parents. The particulars of the lawsuit aren't exactly clear, but the gist is that the victim seeks an unspecified amount in damages for physical, mental, and emotional pain. He also wants funds enough to pay for the expenses he's accrued as a result of counseling, therapy, and all forms of related care and treatment. The lawsuit also seeks punitive damages against Altus. Unfortunately, imprisoned as she was, Altus couldn't exactly afford a lawyer, let alone pay if she lost the lawsuit. She had to think of something. All Altus could do to try to defend her actions further, so she submitted a handwritten 2-page document in federal court to that effect. The main focus of the document stated that she had no evil or malicious intent in her relationship with the boy. She included many details about the nature of their friendship in the letter. She admitted the truth as well, that she wrote the 2-page letter and submitted it to the court because she couldn't afford legal counsel. She also used the letter as a place where she could be candid about some of her reasons for doing as she had done. Some of these directly referenced the boy's strained relationship with his parents. Altus was fighting back against the lawsuit and those who had condemned her for her actions. She argued that the boy's parents had been inattentive, at times dismissive toward their son, and never even attended any parent-teacher conferences to see how he'd been doing in school. Regardless of this, he still managed to get his grades up, with her help, of course. It wasn't just the parents that took the blame for Altus's crimes either. The letter accuses Davis High School as well. Altus indicated that she had never been reprimanded by the school for her conduct either in or out of the classroom. Further revelations indicated that the high school knew exactly what she was doing and did nothing about it. The original complaint alleged that the school's management had been told about Altus's inappropriate behavior with her male students but chose not to act on the information. This, of course, accounted for the many rumors swirling about the school concerning who Miss Altus was sleeping with. As expected, school officials denied any knowledge of what was going on. Altus's letter also shot down claims that she had been wearing inappropriate, risque clothing in her classroom. According to her, she never received any complaints about her work attire. If she had been doing so, and if the administration had any problem with it, they never said anything. Clothing aside, she still had to address her alleged behavior as well. Many attest that in these cases, it's the abuser who initially begins with rampant flirtation. Altus's argument is that her young victims would often initiate flirting, telling her that she was hot or saying things like "you're sexy." That's hardly a defense though, as most teachers would chide the students, informing them that such comments were inappropriate. The school denies that they're culpable at all as a result of some state law which exempts state entities from physical and emotional harm suffered as the result of physical battery. In the end, it's up to the courts to decide if any of what Altus said in the letter is defense enough to save her from the lawsuit.